settle for any ordinary brand. Let Gerry Foster, the branding evangelist, show you how to have a world-class brand here on Big Brand Formula. No more spinning your wheels, wondering what it takes to have a great brand that can have great things happen for you. Gerry wants you to think big and go big. Through his interviews and inspiring teachings, each episode is devoted to giving you the guidance, support, and tools for big branding your business, product, or a service, or even yourself as a personal brand. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host, Gerry Foster.
So welcome everybody to the Big Brand Formula podcast. I'm Gerry Foster, the big branding guy, also known as the branding evangelist. I am so excited because I have as my special guest today, a dear friend, someone that I've known since, oh my goodness, the early 90s. I've been a fan of hers for quite a long time. Her name is Jill Lublin. And before I bring Jill on, let me just tell you a little bit about this amazing individual. Jill is an international speaker on the topics of radical influence, publicity, networking, kindness, and referrals. She is the author of 4 best-selling books, including Get Noticed, Get Referrals, published by McGraw-Hill, and the co-author of Guerrilla Publicity and Networking Magic. Jill's latest book, Profit of Kindness, went #1 in 4 categories. Jill is a master strategist on how to position your business for more profitability and more visibility in the marketplace. And who wouldn't want that? She is the CEO of a strategic consulting firm and has over 25 years experience working with over 100,000 people, plus national and international media. Jill teaches a virtual publicity crash course and consults and speaks all over the world. She also helps authors to create book deals with major publishers and agents, as well as obtain foreign rights deals. Visit publicitycrashcourse.com. Let me say that again. publicitycrashcourse.com/free gift. And JillLublin.com. That's JILLUBLIN as in Nancy.com. Everyone, I cannot put into words how exciting this is to have her here. Jill, how you doing?
I am doing much better talking to you, Gerry.
Oh my God, you look great. You look good. So Jill, what would you first want our viewers and listeners to know about publicity and all the things that you do? Because you're a rock star in what you do.
Oh, thank you. The biggest thing that I love to raise my white flag about is the issue of message, that you got to have a great message. And Gerry, I know that you and branding also harp on this, right? Because we know how important a great message is. My version of it, though, is for the media, which means it's very simple, it's very quick, it's very focused on what's in it for the media audience, just like your branding would be for their audience. So I want you to be thinking about that as a problem solution provider in the marketplace, as an expert in the marketplace. When you're looking at media, what's the problem you solve? And so that's something really big that I think is important.
My goodness. And you're hitting upon 2 real critical topics. One is, what problems do you solve? That, of course, drives the message. And then people don't know what their message is. So how does one go about dealing with those 2 issues? What advice can you give people?
Well, #1, get focused on what do people say that you do for them? See, the thing that people need to get off of, Gerry, is what I call the beat the chest publicity. I, us, we, us. It's not important. Like, I want you shifting all that message to you, meaning the audience, the people you serve. So listen to people. What are they saying that you do for them? It may surprise you. It may awe you. I remember one of the people in my virtual publicity course, he said, "Oh my God, your connections and what you've opened up for me has changed my life." Now, I thought, hey, I'm good in publicity, but he told me it's my connections that changed his life. And what I realized is that I got to be talking about that more. I do have tremendous connections. I know amazing people like you. And I think it's really important that we listen to other people about also who we are, because, hey, we're in our own box, and I include me, right? We all are. So it's really good to listen to what your clients are saying that you did to change their lives. And in that case, this leads me to another piece about publicity is ask for testimonials. You must be asking for testimonies all the time. Keep them fresh, keep them new. And what are people saying? And that I think is really super. And then it keeps your name out there. Like I'm using actually an automated service for testimonials. And then they go directly to Facebook, which is terrific, right? So it keeps that name recognition going. And by the way, only 4- and 5-star reviews. Anything less than that doesn't go there.
Well, you've also hit upon something else, which I love about you, which is the connections that you have. Because there are a lot of people who say, oh, I can get you publicity. I can get you featured in a magazine or newspaper article, quote unquote. I can get you featured online. I can get you on talk shows. However, they don't have the juice. They don't have the media relationships, right? Expand upon that, because that's one of the things that really separates you from a lot of other publicists, in my opinion.
Well, thank you. And so here's the deal. I mean, I had a PR agency for years, and now I do more PR strategy. But guess what? I'm still connected to many media people. I can immediately get someone, for instance, on a former Fox TV interview host. Love this man. He knows that anyone I send his way is going to be good, right? And I think, for me, what I know that I also bring to the table is a way to look at things really differently. For instance, my coaches who are Black, I have them talking, we dropped every other message, and now we're talking about Black Lives Matter, right? And they're doing it from their perspective. And that's a beautiful thing. Like a woman who's, not been talking about that for a long time, and now is talking about being a Black woman in today's world and what that's like. I remember I had a woman, a business consultant who was in my virtual publicity course, and she in the course goes, hey, listen, I just got to tell you something. I got a problem. I said, what? She goes, I'm not a math teacher. I don't know math. And my 9-year-old wants me to do math with him, and it's driving me crazy. I'm a business consultant. And we use that as her story, because how many other people could relate to that, right? Trying to do their thing in the world with their kids running around, and now all of a sudden they're teachers too. And that creates new and unique problems in the marketplace. Obviously the COVID-19, and anyone who in my world who's a health, wellness, transformational person, mindset person, certainly is talking about how do you survive and thrive in these days. I've got my financial planners and all people in the financial and mortgage industry and all that related insurance. They're talking about financial wellness and what do you do in today's times. These are all great topics. So I want you to be thinking about what's going on right now and where can you switch your message, because I think people get stuck in a little bit of here's what I do and here's what I deliver, and they're not moving into what could be really interesting. I'll just, another example, I have a woman. She wrote a book, self-published book, about a statue on top of the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. Now, with all the statues coming down and all the hoo-ha about that, I call her up and I'm like, hey, statues coming down. You wrote a book about a statue, right? It's not coming down, but you certainly have opinions about statues. And so we're able to get her into that mix of conversation. So I'm going to ask you and advise you to get in the mix of the conversation, whatever the conversation is that's going on out there.
I love that. Get into the mix of the conversation, which taps into what's trending now that could be hot, right? That people might find interesting. What else in your experience can a small business owner, if they offer services or if they offer products or if they have a nonprofit, what are some of the other sort of angles or approaches that they can take? Because I found that a lot of owners, they're not quite sure, man, what is it that makes me interesting and appealing to the media? Why would someone want to interview me? Why would someone want to do a story on me? What are your thoughts on that? Because I think that's a challenging part for a lot of people, right? Is just trying to figure out what is their wow factor that's going to first be interesting to someone like you.
So a couple things. One is that it's a stretch sometimes about your message, right? So I went on media in Louisville, Kentucky, huge radio station talking about the Dixie Chicks dropping Dixie out of their name, which, by the way, I had to Google before I went on because, even though I worked in the music business for many years, you got to get yourself up to what the people are saying right now. Right. So be willing to switch, be willing to extend your message, and know that, interestingly enough, your personal story, like the business consultant teaching math now, or my relationship expert, she's been talking and being the quarantine Cupid recently. And that's been powerful. Even though what she really does is write letters to people to help them express themselves. That's what she really does. And she's a psychologist, but right now she's the quarantine Cupid, which got her on WGN, a major talk show in Chicago, Illinois, right? What can you be doing? Stretching your story. If you had breast cancer, you probably want to go out for Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October. Think about the months of the year and how what you do applies to that. Like my goals coach in December and January, big goals month. And then I had to go out now every quarter. How are you doing quarterly, right? And as we reach the final stretches of the year. And so we increased her message. And then she's also African American. So I've got her going out about that, right? And using, I call it everything you've got. My Hispanic clients go to Hispanic media, of which there are many. My Christian clients go to Christian media, of which there is much. If you've been in the military and you're a vet, not only would you celebrate Veterans Day, but there's also a lot of military media, for example. So these are great ways of using parts of who you are, not, leading necessarily with that, except for that media. And I remember in my virtual publicity course, there's a man from, he's actually Pakistani, but he lives in LA, right? And we were going deep on this, and I see this, head bang over there in the Zoom box, and he says, Jill, I never thought of this. He started Googling LA and Pakistani newsletters, and guess what he found? He found 5 particular newsletters oriented toward that community in his culture. And he got in 3 of them using this particular strategy. Now he increased his, shall we say, his reach, his web, his enabling to reach people. Did all of them become his clients? Of course not. But what we want is the opportunity to reach a lot more people quickly, easily. And what I love about Publicity is it's free.
Oh my goodness. This is really outstanding because you are really kind of getting into what it takes to do what? Publicize your brand, right? How can you get the attention of a mass number of people? Jill, if someone were looking for hiring a publicist, because we've heard all the horror stories about publicists, right? Oh, you put them on a monthly retainer and your money goes into this black hole. You don't really know if it's paying off. However, one of the things I've always admired about you is that you generate a return on the investment that people pay you for the fee, for the services you provide. And my whole thing is know what to look for, know how to sort out the best from the rest of the crowd. So what are your thoughts on that? Like what advice would you give to someone who's looking for someone like you?
So a couple things. I mean, listen, I owned a PR agency. My fee at that time, and this was many years ago, was $5,000 a month. Typically people were laying down $30,000 to work with me. And what I did is, shall I say, revised all of my offerings and made this virtual publicity course incredibly affordable. What I started doing is empowering, because my heart is with entrepreneurs, small business owners, right? Speakers, authors, coaches, consultants, and what what I call small business owners. And, the reality is there's often not that kind of budget to help those kinds of people, right? So I just revised all my offerings, and now I do really a hybrid approach where I do it with them, not for them. But I do say, if you're going to hire someone to do it for you, there's a few things I want you looking for. Number one, there are people who do it on guarantees. You will pay more. But, for instance, when Profit of Kindness came out, I actually did hire someone who was getting me, I got on 7 Fox TV News interviews literally in the first 10 days, but I also paid for everyone I got. I paid several $1,000s because for me that was worth it. And then I capped it at a certain place, right? I think I capped it at 7. And that was great. And I was in major markets on Fox TV for 4 minutes and 20 seconds, which, by the way, I paid several $1,000s every time I got booked. But however, it was guaranteed. So for me, I tend to like the guarantees, but there are some people I trust to pay a retainer fee to and invest consistently. I just found the way I structured it was to find a new way to make offerings to people in a really affordable way, including using me to, like, shall I say, project manage what would be a major PR piece. And then I work with people's staff or someone they hire at a really reasonable rate, and I will give them the script, the what to say, everything a PR agency does, except I just shave off a lot of time and make it a lot faster. So, there's many ways to approach this. And the truth is, when you do hire a PR agency, you're shooting a little game of craps a bit, so we don't always know how it will turn out.
Well, what I love about what you're also saying is you provide the full services, quote unquote, of a PR agency for who? The solopreneur, for the little guy or gal, right? Someone who doesn't have a PR agency budget. However, you're saying, listen, I can give you that same depth. I can give you the same kind of thinking, the strategizing, the connections, the hookups, the relationships that you can get over there. So that's really, now I want to go back to the whole thing about messaging, because as you mentioned at the very beginning, that's a big obstacle for so many people. How do you help them uncover their message? How do you help them find their voice?
So I listen for a few things, right? So I do have a formula, and it is the problem today. And I want you to fill that in. I want you to think about what's the problem today out there. So I have them fill that in, and then I want them to give 3 solutions. Really give people value and benefit. I remember when I wrote Guerrilla Publicity, I was very privileged to talk to media across the country, like Entrepreneur Magazine and Fast Company Magazine. Those were just 2 of them, right? And the media didn't agree about everything, but they agreed about 2 things, and that is to give value and benefit. So one of the things I'm always listening for as people are giving their value and benefit, for me, it comes in the formula of a problem solution. And then I'm hearing what they say. I'm hearing what lands. I'd like things to be what I might call a little bit sexy soundbite, memorable, right? Because people will come up to me years later and I have this one called the create your ooh, ah factor, right? And they'll come up and they'll repeat that to me. And see, Gerry, that's when I know that it's landed, right? So for people's message, I really want it to be authentic to you, right? You need to be able to say it quickly and easily, including 4 a.m, because your media interview is in New York, let's say, and it's 7 o'clock drive time there, for example. So, your message needs to be quick, simple, easy, and focused, and in 5-year-old language. And I have a bit of a gift from God, as I like to call it, for the ability to listen to what are people saying and go underneath it and hear what might be a more interesting message or recreate a message so that it lands simpler. And I also like to tell people, give appetizers, not full meals. You don't want to be giving all your secrets away, but you definitely want to be telling people some really good things and have them get that value and benefit. And then, of course, they'll want to work with you.
Well, you certainly are the goddess of publicity, and you are so gifted and so
Oh,
talented
thank you.
at navigating what for a lot of people seems daunting and confusing and overwhelming. And at the same time, people just wonder, who am I to be interviewed by someone? So I love what you're also saying, which is you actually partner, you work with your clients, you get to know that person. And that's one of the things I love about you. You're very personable. You have the heart of an angel. I can tell everyone that
Oh,
who's listening. And not only are you incredibly good at what you do, you work with integrity because you've always had this very high standard in this thing called publicity. And you're kind of like me, right? We've been at this for a long time. We like to tell people since dinosaurs were roaming the earth, or since the dawn of personal computers. But that says something to our staying power. But in your case, your staying power, because of all the things that have been happening in the world and whatnot. What is one or two last nuggets that you would like to say to the people who are checking this out in terms of how to best publicize your brand? What would you say they need to do as a next step?
well, thank you. And thank you for all the wonderful compliments. I just want to say that.
You're welcome.
And yes, and to say that every one of you has a unique gift, right? And you deliver it in terms of your product, your service. You bring something unique to that. So the point is, let's find that and expand it and create it. And to say to you that publicity is actually a lot easier than you think. And yes, that is the place I hold in the world, to say to you that you can do it, that now is your moment, that publicity will bring you prospects and profits and clients like you can't imagine. I have to tell you, a woman who followed my system, she said she got one article in the Houston Chronicle, and that led to 2 major speaking engagements for her. She is a speaker. That's one of the things she does, which is, somewhat of a nebulous product. But part of it is finding the right message, right? And so what I've seen again and again and again is the opportunity of publicity to really drive business for people. So, it's that old, like, what are you waiting for, right? Let's take a baby step, put your message out there. It can go local. Local is a great way to start. Start on podcasts. That's another great way to start. People won't see you even. You just talk. That's easy, And most podcasts are short enough that you can maintain it. And, I like to joke that with the Profit of Kindness, when I was on Fox News for 4 minutes and 20 seconds as an average TV interview. Anyone can sound smart for 4 minutes and 20 seconds. and you can too, with good points that you can actually just read in front of you if you need to. So don't be concerned, because what I know is when you know your message and it's resonant for who you are, it's authentic to who you be, guess what? You can say it anywhere, anytime, to anyone, and you can use it for media, for networking, and social media. There's multi-use for your publicity. And the truth is, Gerry, and I'll leave you with this, publicity is happening all the time. It's happening all the time in the Zoom rooms, in your when you do go out, in your world, in your social media. You are doing publicity. So let's do it the right way and get your message focused, simple, and putting yourself out there in easy, ongoing visibility building activities. That's important because, my friends, your message matters.
Oh my goodness. Those are golden nuggets from the goddess of publicity. She is the queen of publicity. I could come up with different names for how I would describe Jill Lublin. And what she also said was, listen, everyone, this is free advertising here. It has not died. If anything, it's more important now than ever before. And you have to mesh it with, like you said, all your other online marketing activities so that you can maximize its impact. And I love what you also said, which is, hey, you've got something to share with the world. Sometimes it takes someone like yourself to sort of reach within you to help you uncover what your voice is, but that's part of what your special talent is. So Jill, I just want to thank you for spending time with me today. I love you. I admire you. I respect you. You are the best of the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gerry.
All right. And everyone, just make sure you go to GerryFosterBranding.com, go to the Big Brand Formula podcast, or go onto one of your favorite Big Brand Formula podcast platforms, whatever those may be for you. I'm on most of the major ones, and you can also search out Jill Lublin online. She's all over the place. She walks her talk, everyone. But I gave you her website information at the very beginning, and you can certainly go to my website and listen to this interview again and learn more about you. Jill, thank you so much. Take care.
You have just listened to Big Brand Formula. Thanks for joining us, and make sure to visit our website, GerryFosterBranding.com/podcast, where you can subscribe to the show and access our resources. If you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes or simply telling a friend about us. Join Gerry again on the next episode of Big Brand Formula, where he can further help create your world-class brand.